like I was telling somebody earlier, if I had to quantitate what were the things that really got me over 7 figures, what really is it that got me over that hump? I can narrow it down to 3 basic things, and this is one of the 3. Leadership training. When I left Keller Williams, I didn't want to take anybody with me because, one, I didn't want to be that guy. But secondarily, I didn't think that I had leadership skills adequate enough to offer anything to anyone. So it was really important to me. It was because it wasn't about the dollars and cents. I was selling the homes to make plenty of money. My problem is when I sit down in front of you and say, I'm going to help you get where you want to go, can I back it up? Yes or no? I mean, is there anybody in here who thinks that I'm not backing it up right now? Tell me, you can be honest, you can raise your hand. Nobody can see you back there. Well, there's a purpose for that. Learning leadership is gigantic. It is not small, it is huge. Even if you don't have people to lead yet, I'm hoping to put you on a trajectory where this is all going to be very relevant and hopefully in your very near future. I want you to learn some things that really turn the tide for me, and I'm going to share all of it with you. You know, stuff that you probably wouldn't learn. This training course, Jamie will tell you, will cost you tens of thousands of dollars, and you're going to get it for free. So this is a 7-week course. We're going to go over the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We're going to talk about it a little bit. We're going to digest it. I've broken it up into 7 pieces, so we're going to do 3 laws at a time. It's a lot to think about. I encourage you to take a lot of notes. I encourage you to pay attention. I've cut some videos in here from the master himself. Anybody ever heard of John Maxwell? Well, you're about to get a crash course in John Maxwell. Just an extraordinary human being walking this planet, and he is the expert in leadership. He's an expert on how to develop leaders and what does it actually take, and why do you even want to be a leader in the first place? Really good stuff, guys. So I encourage you to commit to being here if you can every single Thursday at 1 o'clock. I'm going to keep it down to an hour, so it won't take up your whole day. Jamie's going to film. So if you do miss it because you've got, dying family or something, you can watch it. We'll post YouTube videos. I just don't want you to miss the content. It's really good stuff. So today we're going to go over the law of the lid, the law of influence, and the law of process. So that's laws number 1, 2, and 3. Now it dawned on me while I was putting this together that I didn't do an adequate introduction to what the law of the lid is, so I did find a YouTube video I'm going to play for you in just a moment. But leadership is a lot like chopping a tree. And you're like, well, what the hell does one have to do with the other? I don't care how big that tree is. It could be the biggest tree you've ever seen in your life. If you will just go take one solid chop every single day, just one, get 1% better every single day, that tree is eventually going down. I don't care how thick it is. So it's not the last blow that knocked down the tree. It was the combination of all the blows that came before. How many of you heard that analogy that the Spurs use with hitting the rock? Popovich used to talk about it all the time. There's a giant rock and everybody hits it. And it wasn't that last shot that broke the rock. It broke the rock. It was all the shots that came before that. So let's take a little chop at it. How to raise the lid. We have a rule of 5. Before we get into the rule of 5, let me play a little video for you.
Law number 1. The law of the lid. The law of the lid says leadership determines the level of effectiveness. Now this is a huge law, and although I say one law is not more important than any other law, here's what I do want you to know. If I would start off with any law, I must start off with this one, and here's why. Because if you can buy into this law in the next 5 to 6 minutes as I talk to you, if you can buy into this law, you'll have a great passion to learn all the others, and let me explain why. I'm going to illustrate the importance of this law by using my hands. Watch this for a moment. It's kind of a visual illustration. Let's say, for example, my left hand here represents my ability to lead people. This is how well John Maxwell leads people. This is my leadership lid. Okay. If this hand is my leadership, and if this hand is my business. In other words, my company, my department that I'm overseeing. Okay, whatever I'm in charge of, here's what I want you to understand. My department, my business, my company, my organization, here's what I want you to understand. The lid of my leadership will never allow my business to get any higher. It'll never allow in other words, if this truly is my leadership lid, my company, my business, my department, my organization, whatever it is, it can never get any higher than the lid of my leadership. In other words, your leadership, my leadership, our leadership lid, whatever it is going to literally control and determine the size of our business. Now, this is huge. If I were sitting where you are right now and I was taking notes, what I'd be saying to myself is something like this. Since the law of the lid says that my leadership is going to determine my effectiveness, the most important thing that I can do in my life is learn how to become a better leader. Let me explain to you. Remember, I've already said to you the laws can be learned. We've already realized that you can learn these laws, okay? In fact, you told your neighbor, you can learn these laws. Now, let me explain to you what could happen. Let's say from a 1 to a 10, my leadership lid is a 4. Well, what that means is if I'm a 4 as a leader, then my business, my organization is going to be a 3. Now here's what's not going to happen. If I'm a 4 as a leader, my business or my organization is not going to keep going above that lid and go to a 4, 5, 6, 7. It's never happened. In the history of mankind, the organization has not grown beyond the lid of the leadership of that organization. The leadership contains and controls and determines the size of the business. Now, so if I'm a 4, you look like a great smart audience, so I'm going to ask you a question. If I'm a 4 as a leader, what's my organization going to come to that I lead? But what's my number? 3, 4 max, isn't that right? Can't be any higher. What it's not going to be a 5, 6, or 7 because my lid is a 4. Now, the good news is I can learn to lead. So here's what I'm saying. If I'm a 4 as a leader and I've got a 3, 3.5, maybe, max, maybe a 4, I doubt, company or organization, here's what I want you to see. If I go from a 4 and I start learning leadership to a 5, to a 6, to a 7, all of a sudden, now look what happens. I have capacity for growth. I have potential for growth. My company can go from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to a 6. In other words, here's what I'm saying. You can literally double the size of your department. You can just double the size of your company by just lifting your leadership lid. And every one of you here, everyone that would watch these tapes, I want to say this to you. You can lift your leadership lid. But everything, remember this, everything rises and falls on leadership. By the way, where I learned this, when I lived in San Diego, California, I had a fellow by the name of Don Stevenson who was my mentor. And he was the president of Global Hospitality, and that Global Hospitality literally would buy, they would buy resorts that were going bankrupt. Resorts like La Costa, Greenleaf, any kind of major resort across America that was going under financially. What we found was that this company, Global Hospitality, they would come in and they would buy the company. Okay, now get the picture. Here we are. I'm sitting out with Don Stevenson about every other month. He's mentoring me. And I asked him one day, I said, Don, when you go buy a bankrupt company, a resort that's going under, are there some things that you always do? And I'll never forget. He looked at me and said, John, he said, yes, there is. He said, when we go into a bankrupt company, he said, there are 2 things we always do. And I looked at him and said, 2 things? He said, yes, absolutely. He said, the 2 things we always do is, he said, first of all, we take and we train all the people that are in the service business, the employees. In other words, the guys that are out there when the cars pull up and they're unloading the luggage. He said, we train them all in relational skills. In other words, we train them, we talk to them about how to remember names, how to get along with people. And he said, the reason we do that, the waiters, the waitresses, the people behind the checkout counter, on the grounds, and he said, what we found is 90% of the people who do not return to the resort after their first visit had a bad experience with the employees of the organization. They weren't treated with great respect, or they weren't taken care of well. And so he said, what we do is we go through and we train all the people. Now what I'm doing, I'm sitting here and I'm taking notes, and so I'm writing down to me, make sure that you've trained all the people in your organization. Okay. He said, the second thing we do is, he said, every time we take over a bankrupt company, he said, we fire the president. And I don't write that one down. And I looked at him and said, what do you mean you fire the president? He said, John, he said, every time we take over companies going there, he said, we fire the president. I said, well, it seems a little harsh, isn't it? I mean, don't you first go see him, you know what I mean? Go sit in the office, light a fire in the fireplace, hold hands, do a little kumbaya, you know what I'm talking about? No. He said, John, he said, we fire the president. And I'm pressing him a little bit more, and I can remember because he was eating the salad. He was just looking down, eating the salad, talking to me. And he stops, puts his fork down. Now he's looking at me. He's a little bit ticked that I'm not catching this, And he's looking at me. He said, John, listen to me. He said, if the president were any good, the company wouldn't be going bankrupt. The first thing we do is fire the president. I remember finally saying, okay, fire the president. You know what he was teaching me that day? He was teaching me the law of the lid. What he was really saying to me is that it's an absolute fact that in any organization, everything rises and falls on leadership. And the leadership of that organization will determine the size of that organization. And so therefore, when you have a good company that's thriving and doing great business and excelling, you've got good leadership. And when you've got a company that's stagnant and it's going downhill and it's not going well, I can promise you, you have bad leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Now let me tell you what that law did for me as a leader. That day when I walked out from the table, after listening to Don talk to me, that day what I realized was that I was responsible as a leader. That I had to now take responsibility for my organization, I had to take responsibility for my people, I had to take responsibility for the success of my company, that I couldn't go and blame someone else. I read a statement recently that's just powerful. Here's what it is. It's easier to go from failure to success than it is to go from excuses to success. That's a tremendous statement. And whenever as a leader I begin to make excuses for why my company is not doing well or why my organization is not doing well, and I began to go and say, well, you know what, I mean, we're in the wrong location and we got the wrong people. And listen, cut the excuses out. If you're the leader, learn to lead and take responsibility for that leadership. Here's the good news. You can grow as a leader. You can become a better leader than you are right now. That I promise you. But take responsibility. Because the law of the lid says the organization or the company cannot rise any higher than your level of leadership. The law of the lid is a huge law. So if you'll notice in your workbook, I have some questions. Just some simple questions. Questions that I want you on your own to ask yourself. Questions such as, what is the lid number on my leadership? From a 1 to a 10, where am I? Question number 2. I love this one. Would those around me agree with my assessment? Get your leadership team together. And, hey, by the way, let me just say this. If, when you're kind of evaluating yourself, if you put down that you're probably from a 1 to a 10, you're probably like a 9.5. And you ask your team, you get your team together and say, what do you think my number is? And they say you're a 2.5. You're probably missing something. So let those around you evaluate and assess your leadership. And then question number 3, what is my plan to increase my lid number, my leadership lid number? How am I going to grow it? Because I have found that this is absolutely key. The ability to prepare and do curriculum like we're doing here so that you can grow as a leader. I mean, how am I going to grow my leadership lid? And question number 4, what are the lid numbers of those that work with me? That's a great question. Those that are around you close, because one of the laws we'll study in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is the law of the inner circle. And the law of the inner circle says those closest to me determine the level of my success. So what are the lid numbers of those around me? And then question number 5, what is my plan to increase their lid numbers? What's my plan? How am I going to increase the lid numbers of those around me? Law number 1, the law of the lid.
So how many of you have seen that show, Bar Rescue?
Oh, I love that one.
Or Gordon Ramsay when he goes around and fixes these failing restaurants. Have you seen that show? Yeah. Who does he spend most of his time with?
The owner.
The owner, right? So is that or is that not? And you've seen that play out in multiple stories. What he does is says, hey man, you're the one that owns this place. You're the leader. You're the guy who's running the show. You need to fix this, and this. He doesn't spend all his time with the waiters and waitresses, does he? That's not his job. He's trying to raise the lid of that leader. And if he does a good enough job, he's going to turn that restaurant around or that bar around. So how many of y'all think you have nobody to lead? Who do you have to lead right now?
Yourself.
Oh, that's such the right answer. And then after that, your family, right? So how do I raise the law of the lid? The rule of 5. When we're gonna dive back into the master here. He was doing kind of a speaking engagement with Body by Vi. So if you see that in the background there, that was a multi-level marketing company. Multi-level marketing companies are pretty big on teaching leadership. Why? Because they're trying to turn people to raise their lid, and the bigger the leader, the bigger their organizations are going to be, the better the company does. What do you think my motivations are?
Improving your bottom line.
Oh, a formula that worked and I'm copying it? I also want to know who my inner circle is, because the law of inner circle is pretty important. So if I'm taking my time out from selling properties and from trying to get Hawaii going and planning out Colorado and all this other stuff for company growth, if I'm taking the time out to come out here every single week, do you think I'm paying attention to who's showing up? Do you think I'm taking mental attendance? Because what I'm learning real fast is who my inner circle is. Who's going to give me excuses as to why they couldn't make it on Thursday? And who's going to schedule around it? Because it's that important. Hey, listen, I'm sorry, I can't show you that home Thursday at 1 o'clock. I've got another engagement, but I can meet you at 3. Who's going to do that? Oh, I got a walkthrough at 1 o'clock on Thursday. Which one was more important, the walkthrough or your leadership training? I want to see. I can't tell you that. You're either going to give in to the excuses or you're going to commit. I want to know which one's which. And it ain't going to be by you squawking. It's going to be by what I see. Because I'm less concerned with what you say and more concerned with what you do. Because I got some pretty big, nasty plans, and I would love for you to be part of them. I mean, I'd like to see everybody in this room making 7 figures or more every single year. And I want you to work less doing it. So I'm really serious about that. So let's listen to John Maxwell again. You must lead yourself.
Every person that you've ever followed, you saw. Every person that you ever said, I want to follow, that person has had an influence on you. And listen to me very carefully, because the most important motivational principle in leadership life is this: people do what people see. So when they follow you as a leader, it's not what you say to them that makes you effective, it's what they see in you. Let's go to the 21 Laws of Leadership for just a moment. The 21 Laws of Leadership. The law of magnetism. The law of magnetism simply says, we attract who we are, not who we want. Oh my. That is so good. No wonder that book has done so well. It'll change your life. We attract who we are, not who we want. I run into people all the time, and they come to me and they say, John, I'm developing a group. I'm starting an organization here, and I'm getting people to buy in. And John, I'm all excited, and I look up and say, what kind of people do you want to be attracted to your organization? What kind of people do you want to bring in? What kind of people do you want to recruit? And they'll say, you know what, I want people with energy. Oh, I want energy. I like energy is important. I want people with energy. And I'll tell you what else I want. I want people with a character. I want somebody who has some integrity and an attitude. Oh, I want somebody who has a good attitude. Okay. And they start listing all these qualities they look for. And I'll let them list 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter. But when they get to 5, I stop. I say, wait a minute. Hold it. Okay, you want somebody with energy? Yeah. You want somebody with character? Yeah. I want somebody with good attitude. Yeah. That's what I want. That's what I want. Stop. I don't care what you want. I got a question to ask you. Do you have energy? Do you have character? Do you have a great attitude? You see, if you have energy, a character, and a great attitude, guess what you attract? Birds of a feather. See, like begins. Like attracts like. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Before you ask somebody to follow you, make sure you have your own act together. You see, too many leaders, they're like travel agents. They send people where they've never been themselves. My name's John. And I'm your friend. Yeah, they're travel agents. They've never been there themselves, but they're always sending other people there. They've never experienced it. They've never lived it. They've never fleshed it out. They're not living it. They get up and they think, I'll just cast a vision. I'll just cast a vision. Boy, I'll just say, all right, here's the great way. People don't want to follow your finger. They want to follow you. Quit pointing. Quit talking. Talk's cheap. Any person that hasn't succeeded can talk. We teach what we know, but we reproduce what we are. Oh yeah, it's brilliant. When you've done this for 40 plus years, it's brilliant. It's not that I'm brilliant, it's just that I've done it so long. After a while, I catch on. We teach what we know, but we reproduce what we are. So if you're wanting to raise up some great leaders in your group, guess what? The first thing you need to do is be a great leader. Let me explain that to you. Let me just sit down for just a moment. At my age, it's a highlight. Let me just sit down for a moment and let's go back to the law of the lid. Remember when your lid was a 5, what was your company going to be? It was going to be a... Absolutely. The lid says you can't have a 6, you can't have a 7, you can't have an 8, you can't have a 9. You're a 5 leader. A 5 leader doesn't have 7s. A 5 leader doesn't have 8 companies. 5 leader doesn't have 9. 5 leaders have 4 companies. What kind of a person will you attract? If you're a 5 leader, you don't attract 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. Can I tell you something? 8s don't want to follow 5s. 8s go meet a 5 and they say, whoops, Mr. Magoo. So how do you attract better people? Lift your lid. If you're a 5, you get 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s. If you're a 6, you get 5, 4s, 3s, 2s. If you're a 7, you get 6. If you're an 8, you got this? Stanford research says, just came from there. Stanford research says that 85% of everything you know, you learn visually. 85%. The reason I say that the first rule of 5 in leadership is leading yourself is because visual example is the most powerful leadership tool. Axe to cut down your tree. Trust me with that. James Allen said, people are anxious to improve their circumstances, but they're not anxious to improve themselves. And they therefore remain bound. The first person that you should teach leadership values to is you. The first person that should flesh out leadership is you. The first person that makes the decision to go forward is you. Lead yourself. I will promise you, start there. Start small. Start with you. When I was 25, I made a very important leadership decision that literally has changed my life. When I was 25, I made a decision that as a teacher, I would never teach something that I didn't 100% believe. And what that meant was I did a lot of things, I had a lot of subjects I didn't teach on. Are you with me? But I realized that the power, the life change, the passion, all comes out of living it yourself. And once you start living it yourself, it is so amazing how people will begin to follow you. So don't leave this conference and go back and say, oh, let me tell you what I learned. No, don't tell them what you learned. Show them what you learned. My mentor for many, many years, John Wooden, used to say to me, John, I would look at my players at UCLA and I would say to my players, don't tell me what you're going to do. Show me what you're going to do. Number one on the rule of 5 for lifting your leadership lid is lead yourself. You got that one, don't you, huh? I can tell you got it. You are the smartest crowd I've talked to today.
My very best to actually demonstrate the stuff that I talk about. Anybody doubt that for a minute? So if I tell you, hey, here's how you go out and sell 30 million, I usually will go out and do it. Right? So you need to be that which you are hoping to, you know, what's the famous Gandhi line? Anybody remember Gandhi's favorite? Anybody know?
Do or do not, there is no try.
That would be Yoda.
Close!
What did Gandhi say? Anybody remember? You're all uneducated? Yes. You're right there. Finish it. Be the change you want to see. What was he saying?
Lift your lid.
Don't go try and tell somebody else how to do it. You go do it first. So this is why I'm saying I'm going to watch. Who are my leaders? Who are the guys that are going to step up to the plate? You know, we're going to be instituting here an Option 1 Real Estate Fitness Challenge. Now, the fitness challenge is something I'm going to do. I'm going to be leading that bitch from the front. I'm going to be going to work out when I don't want to, when I'm tired, when I don't feel like it, when my energy's not there. I'm going to have all the same excuses you are. But you're not going to see me miss not one workout. Not one. Because it is non-fucking negotiable. What else is non-negotiable in building your business? You need to determine what that is. When I sit down to do my call time, Mary might remember. Was that a negotiable time? Do you go talk to Dad when Dad's calling people?
No.
No. What happened if you tried?
Got in trouble.
You got one of these. See that door? Find it. I'm making my calls. It's not negotiable. I don't want to hear about any freaking drama. I don't want to hear about any of the bullshit that life's going on. This is my call time. It is not negotiable. What I want to see is when we do this fitness challenge, number one, who's going to sign up? And number two, who's going to follow through? Because that's a hard one. You actually got to go do some shit you don't want to do to try to get the result that comes afterwards, which is worth it 100% of the time. But I'm watching. Don't think I'm not watching. I'm trying to find out who my inner circle is. How many of y'all think that it's great to do business with somebody who's seriously obese? Do you have respect for that person, yes or no? It's a world we live in. I'm not being judgmental, it just is what it is. I sell more real estate now than when I was a 300, 400 pound fat ass. That's just the truth. So what did I do? I did something about it. Here's my problem. Is it going to suck? Oh, God, yes, it's going to suck. Everybody always asks me, man, when you first got started with personal training, how horrible was it? I said, you know, honestly, the physical part did suck, but what was worse was the fucking humiliation. The fact that I couldn't even lift the bar 10 times on a bench press, and I'm this 6'4" guy, and I can't even get the bar up 10 times. That was fucking humiliating. Now put me on the bar and see how many plates are getting thrown around. Because I committed. But what I'm trying to say is, you got to lead you first, or you have no prayer of getting past that law of the lid. It's going to stop you every single time. And that is a true law, more true than anything I can think of. Be focused on that. What are you going to do about it? So be what you're looking to attract. Execute what you learn. You actually got to go do something. How many people have you heard say the words, man, if I ever won the lottery, I'd go do X, I'd go buy this car or that house, or I'd take this vacation? I hate to break it to you, you won the lottery. You live in the United States of America. You have all kinds of opportunity. You got food. You got a roof over your head. You got a car to drive. You're not dodging bullets daily. You don't have to worry about walking out your front door and dodging missiles. You won the lottery. What are you doing with it? Are you squandering it? I can't tell you how many of the stupidest excuses I heard in Hawaii. Oh my God, it was just, wow. I interviewed, I think, 203 people. I think I hired 4 or 5 and imported 2. I heard stuff like, well, I just don't want to be in traffic. Do you have a teleporter that I'm not aware of? Because how are you going to get to the house over there? You're going to be in traffic. Yeah, stay where you're at. Stay where you're at. Oh, I really just don't want to work nights and weekends. How many of you think you can be successful in real estate by not working nights and weekends? How many think real estate is a 9-to-5 job? Because if you think that, get out of real estate. It's not for you.
Or I've got volleyball practice and I
Oh,
can't go sell this.
yeah. Hey, I can't go show that $2 million property because I got volleyball practice.
Here's Vinsley.
Because that's more important to me than making $60,000 for my family today. Yeah, stay where you're at. You're in the wrong place. What does the military teach you on how to learn something? The answer's on the board.
See one, do one, teach one.
See one, do one, teach one. Anybody ever heard that before? You ever hear that? Jason? Where'd you hear that?
Military.
Oh. Did they live it or did they talk about it?
Oh, we actually lived it. Most of them did. There was people who didn't live it, but most of them lived it.
The other thing about it is if you want to establish a certain culture, which we are always working on, and admittedly I've been absentee for about a year because I was trying to get Hawaii going. We're changing that. Our culture is going to be very, very important to us. We got to cultivate that. So the question is if you want to start a team of your own, what does that culture look like? I will tell you that is extremely important. If you're going to invest $1 in getting a new lead or $1 in culture, spend it on culture. It's a bigger ROI. Dream big and help others dream big as well. How many of you have heard me quote Zig Ziglar about 10,000 times? Help enough other people get what they want, you will always get what you want. Think about the business you're in. Do you have a product? Do you have anything in inventory? No. What are you selling?
Service.
Your service. You just so happen to go pop that door open. Every other real estate agent out there has access to the same houses as you. What's setting you apart? Anything? Work on that law of the lid. Be who you are trying to attract. I focus on that on a daily damn basis. There are a few people in the world that have seen that demonstrated more than Jason because he was my roommate in Hawaii. How many days did you see me get up looking like hell and still went to the fucking gym? Walked out my front door looking like, oh shit. All right, let's go up that fucking mountain. Why? Why would I bother? What's the point? Why? I'm leading me. How can I tell you to do something if I'm not willing to do it? How can I tell you, hey guys, you can make $1 million selling real estate if I've never done it? How can I do that? Well, let me tell you, you can't, and neither can you. You don't want to be a freaking travel agent. You want to be a tour guide. So you got to learn this stuff. It's so important. So that's number 1. Lead yourself.
And by the way, every day, what do you do? Every day I what? Lead myself. You got it. Every day I lead myself. Number 2, the second of the 5 is every day add value to people. Every day. Every day add value to people. When I was 27 in Dayton, Ohio, I listened to Zig Ziglar, my wonderful friend who passed away about a month ago. What a precious. When you talk about somebody living his message, Zig lived his message. I knew him well, played golf with him, been on trips with him. We've spent a lot of time together. What he said is what he lived. What a great, great man. And I remember Zig in that wonderful Mississippi drawl as he'd walked around the stage in Dayton, Ohio, and he said what you have heard too, if you'll help other people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want. And that day my life was changed because as a young leader, I wasn't helping people get what they want. I was asking people to help me get what I wanted. I was saying, hey, listen to my vision. Look, here's where I'm going. Hey, look at my train. Hey, get on my train. Hey, let's go on my trip. Let's go on my journey. Hey, let me tell you. And I was trying to get people to come my way. And that day, everything changed when he basically said to me, John, leaders focus on others first. They focus on what is your dreams and what would you like to accomplish and what do you love? What's your passion? It changed my life. And from that time on, I said, okay, I'm going to be a person that every day adds value. And can I tell you, I have a practice I've done for 35, 40 years. I did it this morning. Woke up in my hotel. And I thought of you, and I thought that I'm going to be able to teach you today, and I'm going to be able to spend some time with you. And I began to think about how can I add value to you. And I took my notes that I'd written yesterday, and I went through them again, and I looked at them. I said, okay, where can I help them? What can I do that'll really lift them? How can I add value? See, every morning I ask myself, who can I add value to, and how can I add value to them? Every morning. And every evening I ask myself, did I add value to that person, and how did I do it? Every morning, who can I add value to and how can I do it? Every night, did I add value to that person and how did I do it? Every morning, who can I add value to and how can I do it? Every night, who did I add value to and how did I do it? It's amazing because I teach leadership is influence, and people come to me all the time. They say, okay, John, how do I increase my influence? Because the more people that you influence, the more people you're going to have in your business. No doubt about it. It's very simple. People that know how to add value to people continually increase value and influence with people. So because I'm so passionate about adding value to people on a daily basis, remember, every day, I lead myself. Every day I add value to people. Every day I take that axe, lead myself, add value to people. Because I'm so passionate about it. I sat down a few years ago and I asked myself, okay, how do I add value to people? And I came up with 3 things that I want to pass on to you quickly. I add value to people, number 1, when I value people. You got to value people, friend. You got to really love people. Don't be like Charlie Brown one time who said, you know, I love mankind. It's people I can't stand. You got to value people. You see, if I don't value you, I'll take advantage of you. Leaders who get in trouble because they stopped valuing the people that they lead. So I've got to value people. Number 2, I have to know and relate to what you value. I have to know and relate to what you value, and I can only do that by listening. I can only do that by instead of talking and casting vision, turning to you and finding out where you are and how you feel, listening. Oh my goodness, the great leaders, they listen, they learn, and then they lead. They listen, they learn, and 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 they lead. If I want to add value to you, I have to value you. I have to know and relate to what you value. And number 3, I have to make myself more valuable. If I'm really going to add value to you, guess what I have to do? I have to keep getting better, don't I? Because if I don't keep growing and if I don't keep getting better, it's impossible for you to keep growing and it's impossible for you to get better. And you see, in this business, you got to keep learning. You got to keep growing. I watch people in this type of work and they get to a level and they just kind of plateau and they get satisfied and they stop growing and they just kind of live off the level they're on and live off the land. Listen, the only way that you can be valuable to somebody tomorrow is learn something new today. When's the last time you learned something for the first time? This whole process of learning and growing and developing. but every day add value to people. So when I was in the San Francisco airport getting ready to get on the plane this morning, the lady behind the counter, when I got me an iced tea to drink, I asked her how her day was going, and she started talking about her 3 children and how she was going to leave work as soon as she could to help them get into school. And I listened to her for a moment and smiled and told her I thought she was a good mama. Paid $1.50 for my iced tea and gave her a $20 tip. Listen to me, I want to tell you something. When leaders stop valuing people, they should stop leading people. This is not, hey, this business is a people business. It's a people business. And the caring and the loving and the valuing people is the core of longevity and success in leadership.
You're adding value to your clients every single day, aren't you? You're doing stuff they can't do for themselves. So important. So important. You know, when he was talking about valuing people, my brain went back to a story my dad told when he was actually in a combat environment. And he was getting debriefed, and he said, the first thing I did was blow off the officers. He was a colonel. So I don't want to hear from my damn officers. I want to hear about the guy who's in the mud. Because that guy knows what's going on, and he's not going to sugarcoat it. That's my real dad. So valuing the guy at the bottom of the totem pole. I got to see that in reality. So valuing people, real thing. How are you going to add value to others? So I used to ask myself all the time, why would you hire me instead of someone else? I used to have that Post-it note on my ancient computer screen. Anybody remember the green screen? I'm freaking old, I know. I don't look that old, but I am. So I had a green screen. It was about that thick, weighed about 900 pounds. But I had a Post-it note on there, why would I work with you? And I used to write down all the time. Man, I better come up with some good answers. What are you really doing? You're writing down how you're going to benefit somebody else. Huge. Absolutely huge and very relevant to what we do. So value people first. How many of you have your favorite saying, I hate people? Come on. Everybody said it. You don't got to lie. You can tell me, I freaking hate people, dude. We're in the wrong business to hate people. I so happen to love people. I just do. I'm a people person. I've always been a people person. I like helping people. I like to see people's face light up. It's one of the reasons why I like to cook such amazing barbecue. I like to watch people eat it. And they all light up. Oh my God, that's really good. I love that stuff. How many of you love to see people's face when they close? When they get the keys? I mean, that's almost a bigger payoff than the commission for me. Know and relate to what they value. Because it's not about you, is it? If you want to raise your lid as a leader, it's all about them, 100%. Why would you follow me? You don't think I don't value each and every one of you? I do. I love you like family. We're trying to create a very family environment. How many of you feel that? I hope you feel that. If you don't feel that, we're fucking up, and I want to know about it. Because we will fix it. But it's huge to me that every one of you know that I value you very much, and I feel honored that you're here. I'm honored that you're in my sphere. You trusted me enough to help you with your livelihood. That's huge. To me, that's not a small responsibility. That's huge. I'm constantly trying to figure out, how do I make it easier? How do I make it better? How do I make it faster? How do I make it simpler? How do I train this to where somebody will understand it? How do I get them more leads and more opportunities? That's never going to stop. And every time I go to these broker meetings, I don't care if it's in Hawaii or if it's in San Antonio, I just sit there in the back of the room like this going, none of these people fucking get it. Oh man, I'm able to charge this new fee and everybody's paying it, hee, ha, ha, ha. And I'm in the back going, you selfish piece of shit. That will literally never be me, and I'd like to thank you so much for giving me an example of what not to do. You want to see an organization go to hell in a handbasket? laugh about how you can get a fee over on somebody. Disgusting. That will never happen here. Never. Make yourself more valuable. Constant commitment to getting better and better. That's one of our core values, isn't it? All right. Study leadership.
You see, 20% of a book has 80% of everything you need to know. Now, there are some exceptions, my books, for example. So when I say study leadership, what do I mean? Right, real quick, okay? I got to get this done for you. That means reading. That means resources. You see, in 1973, when I realized I needed to develop a personal plan for growth and I didn't have one, and I didn't know how to develop one, Success Motivation Institute out of Waco, Texas had a kit that I could buy for $795 that would help me to personally grow, and that kit cost me 1 month of my salary. And I bought it. Well, it took me 6 months to buy it because I had to save up for it. Most of my life, I have belonged to at least 7 CD clubs on leadership. Resources. Learning lunches. Every month since 1982, I've set up a lunch from somebody. I buy the lunch, I don't even eat. I just ask questions. Somebody that's smarter, faster, better than me. And I just ask questions. I call it my learning lunch. Do it every month. Oh, if I had 20 minutes, I'd teach you what I just learned. Oh, I would just teach you what I just learned in a learning lunch I had 2 weeks ago. But I don't have time. Events. Going to events. Leadership events. Margaret and I started visiting presidential libraries because I love history and I love leadership. I've now been to every presidential library in America and studied it. I just constantly immerse myself in leadership events. I've already talked to you about filing. I file every day leadership thoughts, quotes. If I pulled out my iPhone right now, I could give you 3 dozen quotes that I've picked up in the last 2 or 3 days that I filed, and I just keep them in there and I just keep reading them. I keep working and I just keep reading them until I've got them, until they're mine. Study leadership. I do hope I'm lighting a fire for you, because I'm telling you, your leadership lid will determine how high you're going to go in this business, and I'm going to promise you, you can't increase your leadership without studying leadership. So every day I lead myself. Every day I add value to others. Every day I study leadership. Are you with me?
I absolutely made this one of my biggest priorities, and I think it has paid off handsomely. So where can we find all this info now? Books and audiobooks, obviously. You can get stuff on Audible and listen to it in the car. Instead of listening to music, fill your brain with good stuff. YouTube videos. How much does it cost to watch a YouTube video?
0.
So you mean to tell me, Jason, I could go on my phone that I have with me everywhere I go, and I can pull up an app called YouTube and I can learn whatever I want, and I don't have to pay a dime? Study leaders in the marketplace. I study people that are outside of real estate. You know, I'm enamored by CEOs of companies that took over whatever field they were in. You know, I watched Amazon take on Walmart. Fascinating story. I read how Uber took over Yellow Cab. Fascinating story. How an online shoe store where you couldn't even try on the fucking shoes, Zappos, took over the shoe market on the internet because of Tony Hsieh. He read a book called Delivering Happiness. Fantastic. It is a fantastic read. Copy that stuff. Find somebody that really speaks to you and listen to them. You know, what did Jeff Bezos do? He started his business in a freaking garage. He had a little banner which he wrote, you know, he had a magic marker that said Amazon.com. What do you think he was thinking back then? Or, somebody else I was really fascinated with was Kelleher, the CEO of Southwest Airlines, when they only had 3 routes: San Antonio, Dallas, Houston. So think about, let's go back to a time where 2 airliners slammed into 2 buildings in New York City. What happened to the travel industry? Ooh. So just about every airline out there goes bankrupt, getting bailed out by the government. There were 2 of them that didn't. Southwest Airlines and Virgin Atlantic, run by 2 very spectacular leaders. Does anybody remember what happened right after 9/11? What came out with Southwest Airlines during that time period? Did anybody remember? Probably don't. But it was brilliant.
Want to get away?
Want to get away? Now you can. $49. You can hop on their airplane and go wherever you want. So a couple of things happened. He ran that. And what was he trying to do? I'm not going to make a whole lot of money off of every ticket, but I am going to fill my airplanes. In other words, I'm going to keep the bills paid, but I'm going to start taking market share because I'm going to do part 2 of my nasty plan. What was part 2? Anybody remember the billboards out there that used to say our customers are not number 1, our people are? Because if we get it right with them, they'll get it right with you. Think about what he did there. He was able to steal the best talent from all of these other airlines by treating them better, by letting them dress more comfortably like they weren't in a freaking prison outfit. They let them have fun on the aircraft. They created an awesome culture. So now they got the tickets sold. They got better talent. What happened to Southwest Airlines during that time period? They fucking took over the whole market. And why? Because you had a leader who focused in on 2 things. Let's sell the tickets. Let's steal the best talent. And when we get the talent, we're going to treat them like they're kings and queens. Look what happened. Now, Herb Kelleher is no longer with Southwest Airlines. Remember that law of the lid? What do y'all think about Southwest now? Garbage airline. What happened? Different leadership. That's the only difference. Same freaking airplanes in the same freaking airport, but everything's different now. Leaders. Leadership. So what is your personal growth plan? Do you have one? Probably not. You think you should get one? Let me help you. What does that mean? Practice leadership is leg number 4.
Number 4, every day I practice leadership. I practice leadership every day. I not only study leadership, but I practice leadership. I shared with you about my organization, Equip, the largest leadership training organization in the world. You say, John, how did you, and by the way, we did that in 16 years. How did you develop the largest leadership training organization in the world? It's very simple. When we train leaders, we go in for 2 days and we have a leadership workbook and we take them through the leadership principles. And then at the end of the 2 days, we give them 10 workbooks. And we said, we'll be back in 6 months for the next session. In the 6 months we're gone, you take 10 people and you train them what we trained you to do. And they can't come back for their second training until they validate that they've trained 10. You see, a long time ago I learned, I'm not about to train somebody how to lead that isn't going to practice leadership. You see, I'm telling you, you can waste a lot of time with people who like to have meetings. But their biggest accomplishment is lighting the fire and doing a little kumbaya. The whole idea of not only knowing how to lead, but practicing your leadership. Malcolm Gladwell, who's a wonderful friend of mine, read some great books, Tipping Point, etc. Malcolm is the first guy to say that if you want to be highly successful in doing something, you have to do it at least 10,000 times. He gives examples, the Beatles, all these groups that made it big. When people say, oh my, they just made it big, they'd just done it. Practice. When Malcolm said that, I said, I wonder how many times I've spoken. So I went back and had my people do research, and I've spoken over 12,000 times. So people say, John, you walk out on stage, you take your water, you stick a cough drop in your mouth, you sit on a chair and say, my name is John, I'm your friend. You don't look nervous. It's like you're having a conversation with us. Well, I'm having a conversation with you. Absolutely, and I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. I've done this 12,000 times. You say, oh, John, you look so natural when you do that. Of course I've done this 12,000 times. Oh, I wish you could have seen me in the beginning. I was nervous. I wasn't natural. Practice. Oh, yes. I was over at Jack Nicklaus's house one afternoon. We were doing some putting in his green in his backyard. And I said, Jack, I've watched you make all kind of pressure putts to win major championships. Did you feel the pressure? And he smiled and said, not really. How could you have such an important putt and not have the pressure? He said, well, you have to understand, when I had that 7-foot putt, had a little break to the right. He said, to be honest with you, I've done that putt about 10,000 times. And then he said, practice gives confidence. Thank you, Jack.
You're confident in what you know.
You practice. And everybody has heard me quote one of my favorite quotes from Bruce Lee. I do not fear the man who practices 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who practices one kick 10,000 times. That guy is going to kick the shit out of you. So practice. Now, how do we practice leadership? How many of you would like to put together a training for practice on Mondays? You should do that. You should practice. Share something. You guys have value to add. You can hit a lot of balls in one spot. Put together a training. Share with us what you know. You've got value. You've got stuff floating around in your head that's going to move the needle for someone else. Share it. We see Amanda do that all the time. Nobody ever asked her to mentor anybody. Does she do it? How many of y'all gotten a call from her? Or you called her? Did she ever tell you no? Did Amanda ever tell you to fuck off? Practicing leadership. You don't count. You don't count. She likes them.
It's actually yesterday.
So run a practice. Practice some calls with somebody. Run some scripts. Help mentor somebody. Right? Have agents shadow you if you're doing well. You're obviously doing something right. Guide people to success and answer questions. Lead by example. Practice, 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 practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get. How many times have I told you to practice your call scripts every day because it's free throws? I didn't say that randomly.
This is important right here. This is important because every day I intentionally grow. Are you with me? Yes. In 1977 I wrote this. It's laminated. Yeah, it's my prized possession. Because I wasn't in a growth environment. I wasn't lucky like you. I didn't belong to an organization named Visalis. I didn't belong to an organization that is an amazing organization that's breaking all kind of records. I didn't get to go on the rocket ride. I wasn't on a ride. I was on a donkey. And that ass wasn't going anywhere. My organization's theme song was, I shall not be moved. And they weren't. And all of a sudden I decided I wanted to be a success, but I didn't have peers like you to help me be successful. I didn't have leaders like you have to help me be successful. I didn't have an organization like you have to be successful. I didn't have strategy like you and training like you to be successful. I didn't have any of that. And so I'm a kid and I said, I want to be successful. And I knew that I had to create a growth environment, and I wasn't in a growth environment. And so how do I create a growth environment when you aren't in a growth environment? The people that I was with, their idea of progress was moving backwards slowly. So I wrote this down in the late 70s. And it's still true today. Here's what I think a growth environment is. A growth environment is a place where others are ahead of me. In other words, I want to be around people that are better than me. I want to be around people that are more successful than me. I want to be around people that are faster than me. And that's exactly what you have in this organization. You got some pace setters, don't you, huh? You got some amazing, amazing pace setters. Let me just put it this way. When you're at the head of the class, you're in the wrong class. That's good, isn't it? Yeah, it is. What do you say? It's just good. My name's John. I'm your friend. A growth environment is a place where I am continually challenged. I'm continually challenged. I mean, every day I get up, I got another hill to climb. I'm not looking for the hammock. I'm looking for the hill. A growth environment is a place where my focus is forward. It's right out in front of me. It's not behind me. It's not the good old days. It's not yesterday. A growth environment is a place where the atmosphere is affirming, where the people around me, they're encouraging me. Encouragement is the oxygen of the soul. A growth environment is a place where I am out of my comfort zone. In other words, I'm telling you, I'm taking virgin territory. I'm going places where I've never been before, and I'm not one bit comfortable. I'm nervous, and I'm excited, and I'm stretching, and I'm praying, and I'm holding on, and I'm just, oh, help me, help me, help me. Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. Help. I'm over my head. Are you with me? And can I tell you something? You want to be over your head. You want to be over your head. You don't want to be in the wading pool of life with ankle deep water. Get over your head. And by the way, when you're over your head, it doesn't matter how deep the water is. You're over your head. A growth environment is a place where I wake up excited. Man, I know a lot of people, they don't even wake up. We're supposed to leave our footprints in the sands of time, but a lot of people, they're just leaving their butt prints. Yeah, they just got butt prints in the sands of time. They're not doing anything. You with me, huh? Hello, come on, talk to me. There are some people, they're already dead. They just haven't made it official yet. Yeah. A growth environment is a place where failure is not my enemy. It's not my enemy. Failure is my friend. Oh, yes. I write 3 books at a time. This one's not out yet, but I've written it. It comes out next year. I love the title. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. It's good, isn't it? That's good. It really is. A growth environment is a place where others are growing. Some of you, I've seen some people, they win the race, but it was because no one else was running. I won. Oh, where's everybody? Oh, I won. A growth environment is a place where people desire change. They want something different. They want something fresh. A growth environment is a place where growth is modeled, where growth is expected. Now, what am I saying? That 5th rule, that 5th, number 5, and that rule of 5 on learning to lead and lifting your lid is all about intentional growth.
Raising your lid is going to be intentionally growing every day. How many of you have heard people use the terminology, you need to be more intentional? They always put a period at the end of that sentence. Intentional about what? I was always that pain in the ass guy in every training. You need to make 200 calls, okay? Who am I calling? and when I do call them, what do I say? What's the point of the phone call? Where am I getting the numbers from? Finish the sentence. So if you're going to be intentional, what are you being intentional about? I'm intentional about I'm going to add value to people. I'm going to do it on purpose. I used to have this challenge that I put up on my big whiteboard at Keller Williams. He might have seen it. What am I going to do to wow somebody today? How many random acts of kindness am I going to commit on a weekly basis? And especially to those who I will never benefit from. I'm going to go do something nice for somebody who can never repay me. Why would I do that? Why would that be so important to me that I want to see it every day? What do you think? What is your guess?
Second nature.
Yeah. Am I adding value to somebody? Am I practicing leadership? Am I trying to be a better human? Yes. I highly encourage things like that. So intentionally grow every day. I promise you guys one thing, if you get on this journey, it will be one of the hardest things you've ever done in your life. It really will be. Because you're going to be setting an example for the person in the mirror, and the person in the mirror knows when you're full of shit. You're not going to be able to offer that reflection and excuse that you're going to take, right? It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be worth it. This is a great journey. There's a lot of things that I do all the time that you may not even catch. You notice I never talk about somebody making $100,000. What am I always talking about? If you shot for $1 million and you only made $900,000, would you be mad? No. So I was sharing with Richard the other day. I once wrote a poem. I once asked life for a penny, only to find out dismayed. Any price I would have asked, life would have gladly paid. Why are we shooting so low? The one thing that drives me batshit more than anything in life is a realistic goal. Realistic goals are for poor people. I want to add a lot of value to your lives. I'm going to do little, small group trainings, no more than 3 or 4 people in any given group. I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to meet you where you're at, and I'm going to add value to you. I'm going to demonstrate this for you so you can see it with your own 2 eyeballs. I'm not going to talk about it, I'm going to do it. I hope that you will do the same. Get in there and focus on it. I need to learn how to be a better leader. I'm going to start with myself. But intentionally growing. Hang out with people that are smarter, faster, and more successful. If you're the smartest guy in any given room, you're in the wrong room. You're not going to learn anything. How many of y'all see all the losers get together? How many of you have seen the losers want to get together and, hey, we're going to work together as a team? Does that ever work? You ever seen it work? Neither have I. I've seen tens of thousands of agents run through Keller Williams, and those are the ones that always fail. Nobody wants to hold themselves accountable. Nobody wants to do the work. Nobody wants to get their hands dirty. It doesn't work that way. Emulate pace setters. I just so happen to be naturally competitive. I want to kick everyone's ass. I want to take over the whole damn market. I'm just one of those kind of people. That came to me naturally. But I used to pick someone. I remember the first target that I really had that I took seriously was somebody I had a lot of respect for. Anybody know who Diane Craig is? Y'all remember Diane Craig? Probably not. She's probably retired by now. But Diane Craig was like this really high, top producing agent at Coldwell Banker, and her name was everywhere. It's like, I almost have one she does. And everybody laughed at me, like, good luck with that. She's been in the business here for 20 plus years. Do I look like somebody who gives a shit? I beat her ass 2 times over that first year. Then I had to pick bigger targets. Then it went from individual agents to teams. Okay, I'm going to go beat Kristen Schramm and her whole team. All by myself. And then I did it. I was like, shit, got to pick a bigger target. So then I started picking entire RE/MAX offices. All right, I'm going to go beat RE/MAX Southeast. Destroyed them. Shit. Let me add 2 RE/MAX offices together. I'm going to beat both of them together. Smashed them. Like, shit. I'm running out of targets. So it's like, well, shit, I'm going to move on to Levi Rogers. We did beat Levi last year, by the way, as a team together. So that was fantastic. I don't care if you win by an inch or you win by a mile.
Still win.
Yeah. So the big thing is to get out of your comfort zone. I think the most dangerous place on earth that exists anywhere is the comfort zone. It is a beautiful place. It's relaxing. There's not a lot going on. You can kick your feet up. You can drink whatever you're drinking. And nothing grows. A horrible thing happens in the comfort zone, which is nothing. It doesn't get any better. If I were to challenge the room and say, hey, if you could go back to when you were a kid and do it all over again, you think you could have done it better? Yes. Here's my argument. Why aren't you fucking doing it right now? You do know better. Today's the first day of the rest of your life. What are you going to do with it? Right? Get out of the comfort zone. I like to live outside that box that everybody lives in. I don't want to be doing the same shit that everybody does that doesn't work. Get out of your comfort zone. Is it going to suck? Yes. Is it a lot of work? You bet it is. Are you going to have to do shit you don't want to do when you don't feel like doing it? Absolutely. Every day you're going to have to do that. How many of you love to work out, man? Freaks. For the rest of us, we are not looking forward to that workout. In fact, I can tell you I've worked out 5 days a week for 7 years? I have not done a single workout I wanted to do. Not one, no exceptions. And every time I go in there, it's just another version of a shit show. But I do it anyway. I don't care if it sucks. I don't care if I don't feel like it. In fact, if I try to give myself that excuse, if I look in the mirror and go, I'll just skip it today. We'll make it up on Sunday. Now I have to go. And I'm going to charge myself asshole tax. And asshole tax is, after the workout, you got to run a mile for being a dipshit. For even offering an excuse. Grow daily on purpose. What is your plan? Go home and put together a plan. This is my growth plan. This is my strategy. I'm going to watch a YouTube video every single morning before I start my day. I'm going to start listening to audiobooks in the car. I'm going to take this shit seriously. I'm going to approach Jason and Gina and say, hey, I'd like to go over this topic on a practice on a Monday. Can you schedule me? I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. Maybe I don't like talking in front of groups. Well, the only way to get better at it is just go do it. Fear cannot exist if you face it. Be committed. Be committed. Let's see if you're here next week, or if an excuse wins. I'm watching. Some of you are going to be really committed to this, saying, you know what, I think this is the next step. We're learning how to grow the business. We're learning about scripting. We're learning about technology. We're learning about tools. We're learning about customer service. We're learning about, closing techniques. We're learning from other industries like title and mortgage, all the things that we need to know to be good realtors. But are we doing anything about developing ourselves as human beings? If the answer is no, you're doing it wrong. If you want to be a millionaire, you better take this really seriously, because this is the key. Yes, you need to know how to run your business. But how many of you, by your own admission, have seen businesses fail just because the leader was a shitbag? So, are you going to be the shitbag, or are you going to take care of business? So, let's think about, can anybody tell me who in their opinion was the greatest leader that ever lived? Jamie, he already knows the answer. Greatest leader that ever lived. Who do you think it was?
Yeshua?
Bang! Jesus. Now let's take the religious side and set that out for just a moment, which I know is hard to do. But let's just say for a moment we're not talking Son of God. What kind of leadership do you have to have for time itself to be measured on your birth? You weren't born in a place of prominence. In fact, you were a carpenter's son. And from all, worldly eyes, the illegitimate son. Who's the baby daddy? Oh, I just need to have faith, right? Virgins? Okay, sure. You ever thought about that as a human being? The kind of faith Joseph had to believe that story? But think about it. Here's a guy who didn't come from a prominent family. In fact, nobody had ever freaking heard of Bethlehem. It's a tiny little hole in the wall-ass city, a little town in the middle of freaking nowhere in the desert. Nobody had heard of that. Yet here comes this carpenter's kid who starts preaching the Word of God and amasses huge followers. 2,000 plus years later, we're still talking about him. He ain't even here. Right? But this is the same leader who said, you can have no part of me if you won't let me wash your feet. What does that tell you? The highest form of leadership is service. Positional leadership, lowest. Oh, I got to listen to him because he's my manager. Well, your manager's probably dipshit. How many of you ever thought, oh, I could run circles around my manager when you had a job? Yeah.
Mother.
I told him.
Leadership lid was down here, right? And they probably had a shitty department. Their employees were probably garbage. They probably had a lot of turnover because their leadership was crap. Positional leadership is garbage. What are you going to do for people? That's what matters. My opinion has always been, as a broker, when I met you, I didn't ask you what you were going to do for me, did I? Did I ever ask you, oh, how many homes did you sell last year? Do you ever get that question from me? No. I sat down and said, I'm going to do this for you. Bang, 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 bang. I'm here to help you, not the other way around. That is leadership. And I learned that. I didn't instinctively know it, I learned it.